Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the International Jimmy Palumbo Show. That's right. We are known in Frankfurt, Germany, but right now we are coming to you live from downtown Montreal here at home of the Montreal Expos, who are no longer here.
Forget the only active team in the Canadians.
And
Forget
Montreal Canadiens. Guy Lafleur is here. I am in Montreal here for the start of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. I wasn't going to do the show because this trip, I wasn't supposed to even be here. These pickleball people I play with, somebody dropped out. Next thing you know, I'm like, you know what?
Wait a minute, you're up there for a pickleball tournament?
No, it was a planned trip. I wasn't going to go. And just wasn't a good time for me. And next thing you know, they're like, come, the guy drive. And next thing you know, I'm in the lineup. I'm batting eighth. I'm batting like 185. It's just fans are filing out here. Somebody in the upper deck says, every time I feel like I go on these trips, someone in the upper deck's like, who's that? He's still playing? Like I am the J.
You're officially. Do you remember that guy? You're that guy. You're that guy now. Yeah. You know what's so fun? My Sunday dinner, you didn't even introduce me. That's fine. My Sunday dinner.
You know what? Ladies and gentlemen, coming from behind the glass back in the States is Dave Sturchio from downtown Mattawanna Chops Sports Media Universe.
Yeah. So the topic of conversation last night at the dinner table at my old man's house, which he tunes in from time to time, I had to show him your commercial.
There you go.
He got a huge kick out of it. He's like, that's a big spot. He's like, that commercial's been airing for as long as I can remember. He's like, it starts with the black guy. I was like, yeah, the black guy's still there. Like it's that guy.
Well, it was Alex Trebek for a long time, and I'm in this Colonial. Those of you scoring at home, I'm in a Colonial Penn commercial, and I'm happy it's airing. I'm hoping to get some checks so I can pay Dave for doing my social media. I tell people that's what I do. What do you do? I'm an actor. I just try to work to pay Dave. And
he runs TikTok for me. I don't know.
TikTok, Twitter, shitter,
all of it.
But all of that stuff. But yes, the Colonial Penn spot is airing. I believe only on TV Land right now. Anybody else sees it?
Watch
please.
King of Queens, folks. That's what I'll be watching today. I'm not feeling that great, so as soon as I get back home, King of Queens is on, and hopefully I see it.
That's what you got to do. But however, since we're doing the Jimmy Palumbo Show, this is show number 153, one Harry Carson Day here at Shea. And of course, what do we do at the beginning of the show? It's based. I just dropped the fucking card. Hold on a second.
Part is you dropped the card, and I realized my stack of baseball cards is in the office, and I didn't grab it.
You know what? Due to the fact that it's an international show, and the international fan base doesn't necessarily understand the Jimmy Palumbo Show, but we have a baseball card here, and this guy is none other than your friend and mine, Mr. Mike Fitzgerald from the Expos.
Did you do that on purpose? Did you do that on purpose?
I did not do that on purpose.
Wow.
The Jimmy Palumbo Show baseball card segment is one of the best segments you can find anywhere. I mean, even Joe Rogan right now is reeling. He's
shaking in his boots right now. He's shaking.
I go to Montreal and I pull an Expo. I mean, this is like Carney Lansford all over again.
Did you guys drive, by the way?
Yeah, we drove.
Oh, God. How long was that take?
It was like 5.5. I got to remember, I live at the top of the state. So
that's true, too.
Okay, now Mike Fitzgerald Day here at Shea. Expos. Listen, he played 10 years with the Mets, Expos, and the Cal Angels. Played from 83 to 92. He's about 63 years old now. Had a great career, about a 235, 48 home runs, 293 RBIs.
Ding dongs.
But his big really claim to fame. And again, this is for my Met fans out there. He was part of a huge New York Metropolitans trade when Mike Fitzgerald, U.B. Brooks, and Herm Winningham and Floyd Yeomans were traded for the kid, Gary Carter. And many people say that was the piece that got the Mets on their roll. But again, this guy, Mike Fitzgerald, he only batted lifetime 235, but in his first major league at bat, he hit a ding dong. One of only, I don't know how many, I think less than 100 people have ever done that. But you know what? The same as Tyler Austin and Judge, who did it in the same game. Do you remember that? Why do I forget that?
Yeah.
I was watching it, but I just forget. Like Judge and the two guys hit their first at bat. That's unbelievable. It's a classic Yankee show.
Was it Austin? what was it? Austin?
Tyler
Austin, right?
Tyler Austin. And
he's another one of those guys that are just like, oh man, remember him? You know, like
we thought he was going to be the greatest thing ever.
I know. He hits 2 home runs. We think he's Ruth.
But now this guy was a big time fielder as well. He one of the things his fielding percentage, he finished with like 988 for a career fielding behind the plate. Now he sells insurance at Cal Coastal Insurance Agency in California. Little shameless plug here from the Omni. And that's it. That's really all he does now. He, by the way, like, I know there was a big trade, Gary Carter, and it certainly worked out for the Mets, but like, sure. Ub Brooks, like, played 15 years, batted 270, was a very good player even after the Mets. People think like, oh, all those players, and I mean, obviously Herm Winningham and Floyd Yeomans, but they all played a decent amount of time after the trade. So, but certainly the Mets, they won the World Series '86, and that's all that matters. So yes, Mike Fitzgerald, who was part of the big trade for Gary Carter, and he batted 235, and even his family doesn't know he played baseball. So
it's funny. I had another a Jimmyism over the weekend. I was watching a documentary on Kurt Angle. You might not know who that is, but he's a professional wrestler, but he won the gold medal in wrestling in 1996. And then he became a WWE superstar, right? So he started there. So I'm watching this documentary and I haven't seen it yet. So I'm watching him. It's coming through his collegiate level. He's winning nationals. He's doing all this shit, right? And then he gets to the worlds. Like, I guess there's almost like a pre-qualifying thing for the Olympics. And you hear the announcer like, this one's going to be a barn burner right here, Kurt Angle live from the Omni. And I was like, I like pause it. And I'm Omni.
Like, that's it. We should probably get
so many Omnis.
I wonder if Marv Albert
I'm not staying at the
Omni. That's so great. I wish it was still there. We would definitely do a live show from the Omni. But I think it's not. No, it's the new arena. It's the new Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. The Omni here or at Shea. Anyway, so that's my guy, Mike Fitzgerald. Of course, Patreon, once again, mired. Stuck at 39. I can't believe we can't get a 40. I'd give a shout out to, of course, Tyson Hogan and Kyle Kerms and Mike Caprio of cornholelevel.com. And, of course, the baseball card thing, about 3 minutes too late, was sponsored by Absolute Eyewear. We have a new format. We're supposed to be leading off of that. I'm a little shaky with the new format. Give me some time. It's only
give him a little break. I mean, he is north of the border. So
yeah, I'm above here.
He's also keeping his head on a swivel. You just never know out there.
I'm fighting migrants. It's tough here sometimes.
I can't wait till that's an article in the Post. Like, local Jersey man fights off migrants while doing the Jimmy Palumbo Show.
And the cops, he was killed. And the last thing the cop heard him say was, "It's Migrant Day here from the Omni." And then he got his throat slashed. Jimmy, can you imagine filling out?
Oh man, I'm fucking weak now.
Can you imagine filling out the police report of I'm doing an announcer voice as I'm getting killed? Jimmy Palumbo getting involved with 4 migrants here on a late night journey coming from the bar, and he's getting involved.
Step back, slice. Got him.
Last thing he said was, "Tough one here, Che," and that was it. Jimmy Palumbo's death calls.
Oh my God!
On my deathbed, I'm going to try to muster enough to say, "Good evening."
There's a business there. I can feel it.
Yeah, sure.
I always said that about certain voices. I'm like, man, if I died, like I need a like for my eulogy, I need somebody like famous. Or now I just have Jimmy do it. If I drop before you,
I'll be long gone.
We're in trouble.
No, I always felt like when Bob Shepard died and went to heaven, God was like, "Oh, Bob, so good to have you here. Listen, we're gonna get rid of the guy we have. He's awful." And so you just as everybody comes through
next to the organ,
anybody that your attention, please. Now passing away of stage 4 cancer at Sloan Kettering. John Smith. Good evening. And then you have an announcer. Good evening, everybody. Johnny Smith's been sick as a dog for 6 years. He struggled early on, but of course, he started to go to church in his late 70s, and he's strolling through the pearly gates here. So good to have you. Then we do like a sideline, and then you have like one of those sideline reporters. Well, Johnny Smith, obviously you were a filthy whore for most of your life, but towards the end, I tell you, some of the hometown fans up here in heaven were counting you out.
Oh my God!
8 games to play, you won 7-1. Good evening and welcome to heaven. Good.
The Evan Palumbo Show.
Of course, if you end up in hell, it sounds like one of those post-game shows the local radio does after your football team loses.
Right.
We're here with John Smith in the locker room. Tough loss today. You didn't pray enough. You were a sinner, and it's hot as hell down here. How did you feel this went? Well, we certainly we didn't get it done today. We didn't tackle it.
I gave it 110%. I really did. I thought I left it all out there. My curveball wasn't curving, and it was rough. It was tough sledding the entire time. But I feel like God wasn't on my side.
It just wasn't on my side. I've been a liar and a whore for like 25 years. And listen, I know it's getting a little hot here right now. I'm going to send you back up to the.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. So, I mean, the shitty assignment you got down in hell down there. And then, of course, I would be like, I remember my first time up in heaven. Cool breeze. It was a perfect day for heaven. that bit came out of nowhere.
Oh, wow. That might be your funniest bit in a long time, and you have to now use that in all your stand-up going forward. I think that's hilarious.
Oh, my God. Too funny. Anyway, so we're mired here at Patreon. I'm up here in Montreal. That is true. My friends just left. I have to literally get outside. It's 9 degrees out. I have to find out where they are. If they're going to old Montreal or something like that. So we can briefly do our thing. Montreal seems nice. It was snowing and cold yesterday. And
shocker.
Let's talk about it. The Knicks. They have what, 4 guys on the roster now? I know
they're on the All-Star. They're on the All-Star
was suiting up for one. They called me. I was like, I can't get down to the game. I'm in Montreal.
Brunson let us down. Brunson let us down in a 3-point contest. So
yeah, there you
he
go.
couldn't get out of the first round. And then but he had like 12 points in the All-Star game. Look, I don't know if you planned on bringing up the All-Star game, but it is unwatchable.
Yeah, well, they have to get rid of it. Same thing with football.
But you got Ernie in the pregame. He's like, these boys, they dream of being here. I'm like, do they? Because when they're there, it's the final score is 200 to 110, and it's like no defense, no dribbling, nothing, just zero basketball actually required.
Right. It's like the Globetrotters meets I don't know what it is.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
Meeting Air Coryell, then he just drove off the road. If you even get that, Don Coryell.
His birthday was yesterday. Or it's today.
Oh, I got to give him a shot.
Well, here's the thing. He's friends with me on Facebook. I don't know if he actually follows along with what I do.
I don't think he does. Probably does.
I literally said, I was like, happy birthday, ... Did you just drive off the road? So you might get that.
I don't even know if he listens to the show, nor do I care. Steven did he work?
He's not a Patreon member, by the way. That's bullshit.
I know. It's awful. You know, I realize I have less than 40 friends and family. How bad is that?
You start really realizing who's important in your life.
And also people are like, how do you do it? I don't understand. Yeah. So you don't like paying $3.
Oh, there's a website. What do you touch? What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
I personally would walk through I would walk everybody through it. Like, here, FaceTime me. Show me the screen.
Show me the screen.
I got you.
Getting involved. Of course, my Rutgers had a brutal loss last night. They'd won 4 in a row. They were starting to come around. It was like little dreams of maybe, because the schedule wasn't that hard coming in with only one really hard game, which that would be Purdue on Thursday, this Thursday. Everybody was like, hey, you know what? If we go 6-1, 5-2, we get in, we win 2 games in the tournament, Big Ten, you'd be on the bubble. You know, bubble. That's all you really want to do is be on the bubble on Selection Sunday.
Sure.
But they got beat by Minnesota on the road. Look, the bottom line is this. I think Rutgers is better now. And I predicted in the beginning of the year, if you go back, do your research, I said they would be better at the end of the year, not realizing they had this guy who would come in and play well for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of praise for that guy all over social media.
If you watched him, if you watched him, you'd be like, oh, you can see he's like this guy's a good player.
Now, what year is he in?
That's one of those NCAA. I think he's got at least 2. He might have 3.
But I'm saying, like, is he going to be joined by the 2 top recruits next year?
Yeah, and Dylan Harper loves his game. Yeah, so next year he'll be one of the 3 starters for sure. But you know what? Listen, Peichel, I love you. Rutgers, Big Ten games on the road in basketball. Everybody's like, Big Ten is down this year, and rightfully so. I think it is. But like those road games, like even like Penn State, you know, at Penn State. They play like Purdue. You know, Purdue's up by 4 with 3 minutes left. I mean, like road games in basketball in the Big Ten are just different. I know it's just probably the same in the ACC. It's probably all of college basketball. But road games, especially Rutgers, they do really well at home and have for the last 4 years. So you just can't win road games. And you know what? I think the NCAA selection committee should look at that, because when you go to the NCAA tournament, they're all road games.
Correct.
They're all neutral site games. And
sometimes, isn't there sometimes where like St. John's could be playing in the Garden or something?
Yeah, once in a while. But for the most part of the 64 teams, most teams are playing
There's a bunch of teams
on the road. And I think that should be I think road wins is an important category. And Rutgers just can't seem to get it done on the road, and bad loss there. Also, you remember last week, Don Gullett died. I don't know if you remember him. He was a pitcher on the World Series Reds in '76, came to the Yankees in a big trade, won a game in 70. He was on the Reds in 75 and came to the Yankees in 76, won a game in the World Series. But he got one of those injuries, one of those like injuries.
Sure.
And they owed him, like, he signed one of those 10-year long-term contracts. And I remember he injured his shoulders. I probably should notice. My brother's going to yell at me. Whatever he injured back then, it was like, oh shit, you can't pitch anymore. But the funny thing was his contract was so long. And I remember reading articles about Yankee salaries. All of a sudden, it would be like 8 years later, and Don Gullett's making $90,000. Like, he's still. I used to always make the joke, even Don Gullett's still getting paid. But he was a very good pitcher back in the day. If anybody doing that. Also, I don't know if you saw. I'm going to talk a little bit about we're about to get into some heavy showbiz stuff in a second. But I finally watched Reacher. I completed that.
How great was Dom?
Honestly? I loved it. Dom was great in it. I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but no. I was pissed at one point. I'll leave it at that. But I hated?
Fuck this guy.
I hated the ending. It was like, what?
My father did too. He's
you know
like,
why? With 20 minutes left, the show ended. And then they were just like sitting around campfires.
Kumbaya and all of that. Right? Yeah.
I was waiting for like, and then the bomb goes off. Right. And all of a sudden it was like, no, I'm wondering if that was because of the pandemic. And they didn't have. I wonder that. I don't know when
or it's just a complete cliffhanger. So you have to tune in next time, because after the episode was over, the final episode, I was like, "There's another one next week, right?" I really thought that wasn't it.
The other show I've been watching, Curb. I didn't watch last night's episode. I've been watching Curb. Funniest show on television. I laughed my ass off last week. So everybody, just please watch Curb. It's so funny.
I actually started watching Entourage again for no reason.
Here you go.
There's 77,000 shows out there, Jimmy. But as soon as the Super Bowl ends, I look over to Steph on the couch and said, Entourage, can we start it over? She's like, I guess. I'm like, bang, it's on.
How many times when you start a show over, the first 4 episodes, like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, no, and I've seen it a million times, but then there's a little, that's what I kind of look for, the multiple times around. I look for the little things. Who's the who's the backstage, who's doing this scene? Who's doing that scene?
I think the first season sponsored by Weight Watchers, because Turtle is a big moose in the first season, and then he looks like a point guard on Seattle.
Don't you remember the? Well, you probably don't, but I think it was the last season where Ronda Rousey was involved, and something happens. It might have even been the movie. And they hit the cars, and she gets out. She's pissed off. She takes her heel off and smacks Turtle's car. And she sees Vince in the car. She's like, "Oh, hey, Vince." And then she looks at Turtle. She goes, "Didn't you used to be really fat?" So it's definitely out there.
Yeah, it's out there for sure. But good for them. Also, another shout out to my Uncle Tony, who fought in World War I. He was a right or left gunner on a B-17. There's a show on Apple Plus called Masters of the Sky. It's all about these B-17 bombing missions, dude. It's definitely a show you can't go to bed right afterwards, because the whole show. No, well, 20 planes take off for a 6-hour flight to bomb Germany or Italy, wherever they were bombing, and then they show the airfield when they come back, and 13 come back, 7 come back. So and the crew is waiting on the airfield, and they're counting them 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden, every now and then, all 13 will come back. And they're all fired up. And then all of a sudden, they're missing one. And they didn't hear that the plane crashed. And the plane comes in, and it's got no engines, half a wing. It's coming in on an angle. And it just rolls over the runway. And then they have to have an interrogation. When they get off the plane, they have to go into this room. And this guy asks questions like, okay, did you get the bombs off? Yeah. Plane number 6, what happened? A bomb hit it directly. Did you see any parachutes? they're trying to get a number of what plane is, and some of the guys don't really want to. They're all friends, and they're like, I saw maybe 2 parachutes. No, I didn't see any. And some guys like, no chance of any. It's such. And my uncle flew 52 of those missions.
Wow.
But they do this thing called.
Did he survive all of them?
Yeah, 52.
Oh, God bless.
You're supposed to do like 25 to 26, and they send you home. But in the middle of the war, I guess paperwork got screwed up, and I can't wait to talk about to my cousins about it. My uncle Tony, of course, passed away, but they do this thing called flak, where when you're flying, these B-17s are way high up, and what they do is that they basically send these bombs straight up into the air, and they just explode where the planes are. But dude, they explode it's like backward bombing. They bomb from the ground up, and so you're flying, and a bomb just goes off in your face and blows out your windshield, and everybody dies. Or it hits your wing, and they're going off, bomb, and they'll hang on. We're not there yet. 3 more minutes to bombing, and you can see the pilots some guys are like, drop them now. Let's get out of here. It's very intense. The acting's great. A bunch of unknown actors, really. It was produced by Tom Hanks.
Is it a series or a movie?
It's series. Masters of the Sky. It's really intense. But this is when you know you're an asshole. So sometimes Netflix, if you're not paying attention.
Are you still watching?
No, I went with that. That happens all the time. I've gone through 5 episodes. Had to go back. There's a movie called Greyhound with Tom Hanks, and somehow I must have clicked thinking there was another episode, and I ended up clicking on this movie Greyhound with Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks produced Masters of the Sky, right? So the opening scene, the first thing you see is an airplane. And then they show Tom Hanks on a battleship, and I'm thinking, oh wow, they're going to show from the battleship point of view where the planes were. I still think I'm watching Masters of the Sky, and I'm like, oh, Tom Hanks produced it. He's doing a little cameo, right? 2 minutes goes by, 3 minutes goes by. I'm like, the show's called Masters of the Sky. They're showing an awful lot about on the ship here.
You didn't think to hit pause and look at what you're watching? You're just like, wow, this is great.
I thought the episode was called Greyhound. The next thing you know, I'm like, I go, what the fuck is it? Next thing you know, I go back. I'm like, I ended up watching. That was another. So here I am. I'm watching planes go down with Americans in the sky, and then I'm watching with the people on boats with the U-boats from Germany. Basically, it was like go across the Atlantic. But there's a certain section where there's about 15 German U-boats, and they're going to sink every ship that comes by. But if 3 get through, it's like first down. People die. It's awful, but it's intense with those. Anyway, I digress.
And then you turned out in air disasters, just to complete the cycle.
Oh, it totally changes my viewpoint on air disasters for sure. Of course, everything is sponsored by Chasing Miracles here on the Jimmy Palumbo Show, number 153. We're 3 weeks away from our anniversary, and congratulations to Chop Sports Media on their 3rd year anniversary. Year 4 started last week.
Yeah, we're in.
And we made some jokes online, of course, like key signing. When you go to podcast research, like Baseball Almanac, it'll say a little trades like history of Chop Sports. One thing's like Jimmy Palumbo signed for 2 months in.
Minor league deal at first, and then all of a sudden he's the fucking cleanup hitter.
After a post on Facebook, so funny. And then I thought you were Chris. I didn't know who Dave was. Did I meet you the first day? You were treating me like I was.
It's funny because 3 years later now I do play both roles, Dave and Chris.
You're Dave and Chris, right? So funny. But ChasingMiracles.com. You got to get these Chasing Miracles and Dave with the water jug on
Cheers.
you.
Cheers.
God bless you. ChasingMiracles.com. Go talk to Tommy and Donna. They're stem cell patches. It's all the shit your body needs and stuff works. I am wearing them right now. I brought them to Montreal. I'm internationally chasing miracles here, Shay. This stuff makes everything better. Sleeping, non-invasive, no needles. You can still pee in a cup and play for the Knicks. And it really does a lot of different things for your body. Athletes use them. Serena getting involved here. I always laugh. Serena Williams. Remember Marv Albert was doing tennis for a little bit? Was that the worst? Who made that call? Because he was like,
Joe Buck did golf once, and I was like,
I know, but it was like, I remember Marv Albert was like, Serena with a backhand getting involved here. Ooh, and back viciously. And Venus wants to talk it over. Anyway, if anybody gets that material, Marv Albert I always want to have Marv Albert you know what? Marv Albert should be up in heaven. Coming up, Dave Sturchio getting involved, making his way. Ooh, They just found out about an incident back in 85.
They found out about 2018, and they're going to have to take a talking over.
2018, he was hanging out in DJ's down in Belmar. Unfortunate incident. We'll be right back. We don't know what's going on. God and Jesus are ruling on it right now.
He claims, quote, "She loved me. I swear to God."
St. Peter's hopping over there. Oh, now here comes the Virgin Mary's getting involved. I'm not so sure it's going to. We'll be right back because it's sponsored by ChasingMiracles.com. I
can hear the NBA theme song in the back of it.
Oh ChasingMiracles.com. Go check it out. Their patches, they're awesome. Now,
they're awesome.
We do this little segment, also sponsored by CornholeLevel.com. That's right. I don't have the cornholes with me, Dave. I know your cornholes feeling pretty good this week, third anniversary.
Got a big week ahead.
But for $19.95, if you have a cornhole board and you're into playing cornhole, you need to get these things. They really are cool. We joke around about it, but it's like a cool thing. You put it on and you want to get the board right.
This year, I'm 1000% showing up to a barbecue with one, and I don't care. Okay. I have to introduce it to the world and say, like, look, I'm not playing this fucking game unless those boards are level. And how can I do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because right here in my cornhole is the cornholelevel.com.
Well, so, as soon as the cowboy logo gets approved, you know you're gonna have that.
I'm first in line.
That's so great. Anyway, cornholelevel.com. You get a discount if you put in JP Show, 20% off your $19.95 order. I think it's $1.73 off. God bless America. But they sponsor a thing we've been doing. Jimmy's credits. Now, Dave, I'll let you take it from here.
Yes.
I think from now on, you know what? You're going to do I'm going to send you the corn. You should do the cornhole ad.
I could do it.
And then we could lead it into.
Sure. So this segment is brought to you by cornholelevel.com. We already went over this. Everybody knows exactly what we're doing over here. But Jimmy's credits. We've touched on a lot of cool things so far, from the family last week to actually kind of pivoting into talking about 61, which Jimmy tried to get involved with, but that didn't to no avail. He wasn't Yogi-esque. But I will say, we've done Spin City first. We've done Invincible because of football, because it was around the Super Bowl. But this week, it's baseball season. Pitchers and catchers are there. So what better way to talk about one of the most legendary players in adult softball league history, Mr. 706 himself, Johnny Trino from Beer League. Beer League has to be the show this week.
Well, listen, Beer League, I have so much to talk about Beer League. First of all, I still love the movie. I still think it works, but a lot of
I'm going to watch it today, as a matter of fact. I think I'm going to watch it today.
Beer League Day at Shea. The cool thing about Beer League is how really it all started. And it definitely was some so many little dramas that went on. Number one, of course, when you deal with Artie Lang, you got some issues there. But the main thing was when Artie Lang did Mad TV, he was finally making some money. He had an apartment in LA, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And my buddy Mike Ruane, who was a film director and producer, I did a little thing called Shoebox Blues with him. I got to show you that. You're going to laugh. That's Jimmy Palumbo with hair, a youngster. Rookie year, definitely had a Pawtucket. And we started doing things called Bingo Mania and all these. Mike was really good. And Mike ended up producing tons of infomercials, very similar to the Colonial Penn kind of stuff. And we were sitting around, we want to shoot a short. And Artie was going to come up with a few dollars to do it. And we were all going to chip in. So for an hour, we sat around. What can we do? What can we do a short? And all of a sudden, listen, no one can deny this. I just said, why don't we do a short about what happens 15 minutes before a softball game? Somebody's running late. Someone's trying to get the book together. How many guys are showing up? One guy's talking about his mortgage that he got. The other guy's talking about a shitty Leonard Skinner concert he went to when he was 18. One guy's talking all these different things. One guy's talking about how he got laid last night. One guy's talking about he never gets laid. All these little snippets while you're putting your spikes on. And they were like, yeah, let's do that. So we made this movie called Game Day. And please just Google Artie Lang Game Day on YouTube. We should probably have that up on the Chop Sports sites to see if we can get that. Yeah, and sure. It's 17 minutes long, and you see Johnny Trino in there and Artie's character. And it won a couple of film festival screenplay awards, some other ones. We had no money because, in order to, it costs you $50 to sign up to get into a film festival. And they get 9 million tapes, and some film festivals are not putting on dick jokes from, New Jersey. They want to do more creative stuff. But,
yeah,
It is a very, very funny short. It has the same kind of feel as Beer League, even a little different, actually. Some people actually like it better, but I'm not so sure about that. But I love it because it was near and dear to my heart. Now, my buddy Michael Wayne, the director, did an awesome job. He added some more of his own money, and he was all by himself in Florida. Nobody bothered him. He came up with the videotape. He popped it in. Me, Artie, we were like, it was just, we were blown away. And immediately we knew we had to do something different. And Artie started getting involved with Frank Sebastiano, who was a writer for Norm and Letterman. And they started writing the script with Michael Wayne. And here's where the drama happened. Because Artie was still doing heroin at the time. And Frank was a big-time writer. He writes for Chris Rock and stuff. And I don't know. All of a sudden, like Mousy, Tom Bolster, who was in the Beer League series we're doing now, and my buddy Tony Menudo, who's in, I felt that anybody in the short should be in the movie.
Some kind of role,
They work for free. But two things happened where I didn't have the juice. Number one, while we were, Frank Sebastiano just decided, I want to direct this. By doing that, he pretty much eliminated my buddy, my best friend, Mike Ruane, pretty much eliminated him from, it's like saying, we have a catcher. You're out. You know what I mean? And
there was no legal or legalities to that?
No, it was like, and then Artie was like, well, Frank, and I don't know. And you think Mike
has he ever directed anything, Frank?
No, but he would have been a first-time director. And I love Frank Sebastiano. Me and him get along really well. He's a good guy. I'm friends with him today. And I can't blame him. He wrote a script and he was like, hey, you know what? I want to do this because he wrote the movie Dirty Work, which you know.
Oh, great movie.
And the problem is he wrote that as an R-rated comedy. And at the last minute, he got fucked. And they switched it to a PG scenario, and he got burned by that. That was supposed to be like a hardcore R-rated movie.
How did they do that? Who comes up with that shit?
The guy writing the check, bro. Simple as that.
That wasn't even remotely close to PG or PG-13 or anything. It was like almost NC-17 at the point.
But this was supposed to be even more harsh, trust me.
Wow.
And so Frank thought, I love this concept. He's a Jersey guy. He played softball, baseball, and all that. So what happened was then my buddy Anthony Mastramaro got involved. Now, keep in mind, so here it goes. My two buddies from my sketch group were eliminated from the movie, which sucked. Then Mike Ruane and Anthony Mastramaro and Frank, they just didn't see eye to eye. I wasn't in the middle of it. Next thing you know, Mike was like banned from going to the set even. And I was like, oh. And then, listen, I think I don't know. It's hard for me to say what happened. I'm friends with everybody now. And it was 17 years ago. It just something wasn't done right, as my father says. It wasn't done right. But in the middle of all that, the reason why Johnny Trino couldn't get involved, Artie and we went to Vegas when he was doing the Stern show, that famous Artie being drunk and Howard thing, Stern there. And Artie, we were in a room on his huge suite, which is the largest suite I've ever seen. It's one of those suites you go like, oh, this is where like famous people stay. And Artie was famous at the Hard Rock, I guess. And Artie was in a weird mood coming up, I don't know, drug-induced, alcohol, whatever it was. And he just wanted, as I remember it, because I was not drunk, he wanted to watch the stand-up tape that he did. He wanted to put it on a DVD. There was girls, hot chicks all over the place. There was like the party was rocking, and Artie's like, I want to watch this DVD. And I'm like, no, let's do that later. Everybody's got like, well, the game's on now, you know? And then he insisted on everybody getting kicked out. And he put it in. Nobody was really watching because he didn't announce, hey guys, watch. I think everybody would have watched. They were all there because of him. And next thing you know, everybody out. So me and Shecky, Mike Lawler, Dolphin guy, Patreon, we start getting rid of everybody. All right, you guys got to go. We got to go. And I'm being like, guys, we got to go. Party's over. We got to go. And everybody kind of, after about like 10 minutes, we got everybody out of there. It must have been like 60 people in the room. And then it was me, Shecky, his girlfriend, or girlfriend or wife, I forget, and Artie. And I was like, all right, we got rid of everybody. Let's just relax, bro. Let's just hang out a little bit, whatever. And he's like, you didn't get rid of everybody. I'm like, all right, everybody's gone. I checked all the rooms. He's like, well, you guys are still here. And I said, yeah. He goes, how come you're not getting out? And I was like, well, I said, oh, are you kicking me out? And now you got to understand something. I've been to Vegas a bunch of times. 99% of the time, I have $7 to my name when I go to Vegas, and I just put everything on a credit card, and I'm still paying off some of my Vegas trips now at 58 years old. Okay, because you start doing cash advances, bad move. But on this trip, getting involved, Jimmy Palumbo, I remember I had like $800. Okay, not bad money. I
get you one night somewhere.
Yeah, I also had my own hotel room at a little shitty. They don't even have these anymore. A little shitty hotel that had a little casino. So I had my own, I had my own plane. I was like, I had my own starting staff. So he ends up kicking me and Shecky out, right? And I was like very angry over that, very. So we get in the hallway, and Shecky, of course, is like, Jimmy, you going to go down to the Stern show tomorrow when they're shooting? I said, Shecky, Stern show. I said, I'm in Las Vegas. I got friends here. I was like, I just got kicked out of a room. Like, I'm gone, man. Like, you won't hear from me. Like, bye-bye. I didn't talk to Artie for a year and a half.
Holy shit!
And
now, where is the movie and all this? Where's what?
Okay.
Like, did it get released?
We're in pre-production.
Okay.
So I'm still working with Anthony and Frank Sebastiano. Me and Frank were playing wiffle ball at his house. And I kept on saying, Frank, am I still playing Johnny Trino? He's like, Jimmy, Artie doesn't say anything. I wrote the role for you. You are Johnny Trino. Like, I was like, all right. Then another 5 months. Hey, man, I haven't talked to Artie. He's like, Jimmy, stop it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not getting involved with you and Artie. You're in the movie. Okay. Next thing you know, I did table reads with Frank Sebastiano, with some big, heavy TV writers making changes. It was really cool to be a part of that. I was reading all the different voices. I was reading Maz and Manganelli just to keep it off its feet. And but next thing you know, it gets closer and closer. And all of a sudden, about 3 weeks away from shooting Beer League, Anthony Mastromarra calls me up. He's like, Jimmy, Artie's bad. It's heroin. We don't know what's going on. The producers are going to pull the funding. It's not going to happen. And let me tell you something. You want to talk about bitter Jimmy Day at Shea. I was so angry. It was in the middle of summer. I'll never forget it. It was like June, beginning of the summer. I just went down the shore with like 3 cases of Bud Light and I drank myself to death. I was like, this was a big role for me. And to have my buddy, because of his drug problem, kill the whole thing was a big deal for Frank. It was a big deal for Anthony Mastromarra. It was a big deal for me. The only thing it wasn't a big deal for was Artie, because he was already Lang on the Stern show.
So who plays Peacemaker in all this?
Well, no Peacemaker. What happened was, I remember that weekend. So this was like Thursday night. I find out about this. We played softball on Friday. I shot down the shore. I drank all weekend. I left Monday morning. I was hungover coming back. Like, I had $3 to my name, and I drove home. And all of a sudden, I put the Stern show on, and Artie was on the air. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, they must have put an old one on because Artie's having issues. Then I'm listening. I'm like, wait a minute. They're talking like, turns out, and this is kind of public at this point, Artie took one of those new miracle pills called Subutex. I'm blowing the name, where it masks heroin and immediately can like bring you back,
Interesting.
Not sober, but I forget. They're like $70 a pill, whatever the hell.
Like electrolyte, but
no, it's a real thing. It's
okay.
And now they do it in shot form, I think. Now it doesn't cure you, but whatever. Next thing you know, it does get you up and running. I wish I knew more about that. I don't know. Do I care to know more about that crap? And next thing you know, we're like, Anthony calls me up Tuesday morning. He's like, Jimmy, we're back. I'm like, oh my God, no way. So we had to go to the table read for the first time.
All that beer drank.
Right. All that beer drank. I was hungover. So now we have to go to the first table read. I hadn't seen Artie in a year and a half. I was like, what's going to happen? I was still angry, to be honest with you. But I was like, you know what? If anybody who knows me, I tend to get, I can get angry and bitter, Jimmy, but over time, it's like, all right, it's not whatever, but it's like, nobody got killed. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. It's like, all right.
I get it.
He's just, I mean, in business, I'm the same way to a fault. Somebody really screws me over. And it's like, you see him again. Like, all right, what you got to do? My dad was like that. Some people are like that old Italian thing. No. You screwed me. I can't even look at you. I wish I was more that way. I'm not, but I loved Artie, still do, always have. And I consider myself a dear friend to his, and he knows it too. And, he walks in the room and he's like, Jimmy, man, what's going on? He gives me a big hug. And he goes, how you doing, man? What the fuck, man? Year and a half. I said, Art, I tried to reach out to you once, about 7 months in. He's like, I didn't get it. Oh, shit, I was thinking about reaching out to you. Game over. We're back on, and we do the table read. And it was, seeing Manganelli for the first time and Matty Corman. And next thing you know, we're shooting Beer League, and it was exciting. Now, keep in mind, one thing is we shot the movie Beer League when the Stern Show was on K-Rock. When the movie came out, it was on Sirius XM, which at the time had 9 listeners, 8 truck drivers.
I was one of them.
I think, and Dave Sturchio. It was not the audience. There was no Howard Stern channels, 101, 102. It was like it wasn't all. It was, nobody had it. You had to get a little doohickey in your car that plugged in.
It was like an external thing. Yeah.
There were no cell phones the way they are now. And it might have been even pagers for all I know. But we shot the thing, and of course it stars, Ralph Macchio and Artie and Seymour Cassell and Anthony DeSando as Manganelli, Elizabeth Regan, my wife in the movie, Matty Corman, Joe LaTrulia, who we have had on the show, and the lovely Cara Buono, who's on Stranger Things, and that's about it. And of course, your friend and mine, Michael Deege, Alphonse. And we started shooting this thing. We shot in 2 locations, really. A field, Tamblin Field, 3 people just drove off the road, in Rutherford, and also the Colonial Diner in Lyndhurst, which is famous for that scene when we order the food. Which
sure, it's your most watched clip on your Instagram of all time. It's in the millions.
I think it's one of the best scenes.
It really is. If you have
shitty genre of comedic movie in that, let's break it down. I'm not saying it's on Golden Pond that I'm a young Hank Fonda. I'm just saying break it down to that like Major League, League.
It screams New Jersey.
Correct.
Dudes.
It's a perfect
it's just
scene.
it's a conversation between 3 guys that are just it's awesome.
Artie and we used to go to the Holland Tunnel Diner and order just like that. Come over, next this massive amount of food, and driving home, you feel like you're gonna puke on yourself, milkshakes and everything. It was great. But I'll tell you, the set of Beer League, gotta remember, Artie was struggling, man. Like, I give him credit. He's coming off this heroin thing, man. And he was like, just to get him to the set every day, and he had to learn his lines, and he would go right back to his trailer with his girlfriend Dana at the time. I don't have too much to say about Dana, so I'll let that speak for itself. I never got to know her that well anyway. It was like, and Frank was a first-time director, so he was like stressed out. And I would come up to him, hey, Artie's still in his trailer, and he'd be like, Jimmy, I can't worry about Artie. I got cameras, lights. I'm like, all right. I just decided to shut up. But I felt really bad because one of the things with getting back to the drama, they really, to do the movie, they needed a couple signatures. Obviously, Artie's, Frank Sebastiano, Anthony Mastroianni. But the one guy they needed to sign was Mike Ruane from Game Day. They needed to get his signature to shoot this movie.
So now, how is he still involved if he was just pretty much stepped to the side?
He wasn't involved at all. So my buddy Mike calls me up, and one thing I love about my friend Mike, crazy fuck that he is, he said to me, Jimmy, you stay on that train. Don't worry about me. You would say the same to me, like, Jimmy, no pride. You stay on that train. I'll be all right. And I guess he kept on telling me about a couple weeks before, hey, Jimmy, no one's contacted me. Where's my agreement? I'm involved with this movie. They can't do this movie without me,
right?
Contractually, So nobody. I'm like, I don't know how that works. I know nothing, and I didn't want to get involved. Next thing you know, we're like 10 days into shooting. Mike calls me up. He goes, Jimmy, I contacted an entertainment lawyer. This is a Friday afternoon. We're done shooting, and he's like, I just want to let you know. There's going to be like a cease and desist, and it's going to happen delivered on Saturday to the producers. And so when you come in on Monday morning, you get there a half hour early because it's coming, man. Like they're going to go right to your trailer. I know it because we're friends. So get to the set on Monday. Anthony Mastroianni comes in. There you go. He's like, Jimmy. And now listen, I love Anthony. I'm friends with him now. So it's not, he was pissed off too because it was like, what's going on with your friend? What is he doing? He ruined this whole thing. He's going on and on. And I remember just going like, well, I don't know, Anthony, what does this contract say? What like, I don't know, legalities. He's like, what do you mean? What contract? And I was like, you didn't get him to sign anything? Like he's in the band. He played bass on the whole thing. Like, what do you mean? Like, and next thing you know, all Mike wanted was to recoup his investment that he made on the short. And he was like, Jimmy, make sure it comes out of the beer league fund, not Artie Lang personally. Well, Artie Lang wrote the check to Mike. And to this day, I think Artie is pissed at that, but he really shouldn't be. It's like, no, Art, your people, they only needed 4 signatures. They got 3. That's really the bottom line. Yeah. But listen, 100 years ago, time goes by. I'm still friends with everybody, so who cares? But it really set Mike's career back. I mean, he could have directed a movie like this. Who knows if it would have been better or worse? No one knows that.
Right.
Anyway, so on the set, though, it was tense. It was not much improv. I was a little nervous because, Frank, it was a weird set. And, of course, my trailer was next to your friend and mine, Ralph Macchio. And for the first 3 days, I let it go, man. I was like, hey, Ralph, how you doing? I was like, but you know me, you got 8 hours to kill and you're sitting on the steps of a little trailer, a Winnebago looking thing. And you're 8 feet away from Karate Kid. And Jimmy Palumbo's, good evening, everybody. Ralph
which by the way, per source of a friend of mine, they are currently shooting Cobra Kai, the new season right now.
They definitely are, yeah. And Palumbo's nowhere near that set. I started busting his balls. Ralph, what's going on? He was this really nice guy. And then me and Deej on the set, because we're roommates and stuff. So we were like, yeah, Deej was asking him questions, and he was very forthcoming about his career. Because at the time, this is before Ralph did Dancing with the Stars. This is before Cobra Kai. Let me tell you something. Ralph Macchio was like 9 games out with 20 to play. That's what he knows it too. I don't mind saying he kept all his money. He's married, got 2 beautiful kids. All that stuff is fine. He never did drugs. He's not a jerk at all. But listen, he always played 18-year-olds, and after a while, he made some money producing stuff. But his career was not where it is now by any stretch. But He's a really nice guy and a talented guy as well. And we just started having laughs. What was it like? You were 18, girls, Hollywood. And he was very like, no. Not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. No, Jimmy. I married my high school sweetheart. And then, of course, the next day I was like, Ralph, you mean to tell me you didn't hook up with anybody who asked the Karate Kid? And then I'm like, did your friends get laid off of you? Like, I want to know. Like, if it was me, we'd be at Leggett's on a Friday night. Everybody would be getting involved, And he's like, I didn't say never. And then we had some laughs. But I get it. He's a married guy. You don't want to. Who the hell am I? But we had some laughs over that. And then, of course, the pitching machine. She just loved me and Deej. Me and Deej had some very funny conversations with her. She was talking about she has an open marriage and she's married to a porn director and producer. And me and Deej, of course, I was dating my future wife, and Deej was dating his future wife as well. But she was like, yeah, if you want to me, it's just sex. If you want to hook up with someone, that's cool with me. And Deej is looking at me like, but she did the funniest thing. She goes, I didn't know. I brought this suitcase. I didn't know if I needed any toys, sex toys or anything. And me and Deej were like, did you read the script? It doesn't say anything about that. Yeah. She opens up this suitcase. And let me tell you, you want to talk about getting involved from the Omni? There was things in there. Of course, Deej is just better at this than I am. He's like, oh, what's this? Like, he starts pulling stuff out of the suitcase. There's all kinds of things that wobble and spin and lights going on. And Deej was like, I don't know what any of these things do. She's like, oh. And then she was like, it would be like talking to Derek G. Talking to Charles Atlas. Oh, let me tell you what this machine does. You want any buttons, your chest, your abs. Like, she was doing that with all these toys and all this different stuff. And I just found out about these condoms.
This one fixes your cornhole.
Yeah, it's like, cornhole.
How funny is that? I now have a device.
Yes, it was exactly like that. Me and Deej were like, wow. So she ended up being the most normal person on the set. And when she told me the thing, I've said it on the show. She was like, well, I'm like a 5-time champ. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, I've done phone sex. I've done VHS tapes. I've done DVD tapes, streaming. And now I'm doing like dominatrix work. She's studying it with some French guy. Like, but she was trying to say like, I won high school. We won a championship. I won a college. Right. Like she was like, and I was like, me
NCAA like, national champion, Super Bowl champion after that.
Exactly right.
MVP both years. Yeah.
I started calling her like Lou Alcindor. And I was like this. But that was really well. Also, like weird things about beer league, like Frank Pellegrino, the one that owns Rayo's, the restaurant. He passed away though. He played Gina's dad. He was like not friendly on the set at all. Maybe that was his character work because he was not supposed to be friendly in the scene. And I ended up going to Rayo's once through somebody. And that's the restaurant where you can't only like the Pope and Frank Sinatra can get in. And now they make the Rayo sauce that's on every shelf. That's where they make their big money. But when I was at the restaurant, I was like, hey, I did the movie Beer League. And it was like, he went, yeah, and walked away. I was like, Johnny Trino not getting involved there. Maybe he's still being Gina's dad. I don't know. But a lot of people don't realize that Scott Baio was auditioned for Ralph Macchio's role.
No shit.
And yeah. And then they were both going to be.
What the hell has he done since
Nothing.
Charles in Charge?
I don't think he had a Charles in Charge Kai on his agenda, but then they were going to have them both in the movie, and then they were like, we can't have two 80s icons. To me, it would have been great, but so listen. Also, I just want to make sure I mention everybody. I get everybody in there. Everybody. Also, Seymour Cassell, who was kind of a big time actor. The cast was amazing. We had like Jim Brewer, Louis Lombardi, Tina Fey,
Purple Monkey.
Yeah, Purple Monkey. Nick DiPaolo, Derek Jeter, loving mother.
Very funny, dude.
Jim Florentine's the catcher. He says to me, to Johnny Trino, don't you ever shut up? No, I don't. And I casually slap the base in. We had an amazing cast. Tina Fey.
Not only do you casually slap the base hit, you announce your average after that hit.
It's so good. So good. That comes from, you can ask Janine Michaud from Absolute Eyewear. There was one season where I didn't make out the first 3 weeks. I was like 12 for 12. And I made out. I'm like, so I went like this. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm just going to count outs this year, not hits. It's easier, that kind of thing. So that was a running gag. And then I think I went over 19 when I opened my mouth.
Then we brought you on the Chop Sports team. It took you 3 weeks to get a hit.
You get a hit because I'm aging, Johnny. Yes. But it was a blast to do. And then we were supposed to have this huge screening in LA. And every major distributor, I'm talking to big boys like Disney, MGM, even the Harvey Weinstein company at the time. These were big, and it was going to be at CAA. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm all over this movie. You know how many executives are going to see me? Like, I could get roles off of this screening alone. Hey, that guy was good. Because at that point in my career, I'd done a bunch of shit, but you're getting seen by like the big dogs now. Like, you know what I mean? Movers and shakers. The day before, I'm in my manager's office, Peter Principato, and someday I'm going to talk about Peter Principato on this podcast because the way they let an aging Jimmy Palumbo fade away will be talked about at another time. I'm in his office, and he's a big-time manager now, who are artists first. And he's like, Jimmy, you're not going to believe it. The screening's canceled. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's tomorrow night. I was like, I went out and bought a shirt for it. Like I was trying to be looking like a jerk off, right? He's like, the company that wrote the check to make it Echo Bridge had a line item in there that said that they have first right to distribute the movie. Now, to distribute a movie back then, before streaming and all that, you have to have money. They call it P&A, print and advertising. That means all the newspapers, all the local television, and the prints themselves. You have to print the movie, and you got to deliver it to Woodbridge Cinema, whatever, all the cinemas. So it's almost like you have to have $1.5 million, $2 million just to do that. Plus the cost of the movie was about $1 million. They lie on IMDb. It's not that they're wrong on that. And so I never forget it. I was in the meeting on a call, and Frank Sebastiano was like, what's your P&A budget? What's your P&A budget? And I don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And Frank was like, no, we're doomed. And of course, the movie was only released in Cleveland, Boston, New York, and Philly. So from like Boston straight through New Jersey all the way to Philly and Cleveland, because Stern was big in Cleveland. And what they tried to do really was uppercut and try to make it a hit. Because per theater average, I don't want to get into details about Hollywood, but our per theater average wasn't bad. But all these guys wanted to do, get it out of the theater, get it on DVD. And DVDs that back then cost about 4 cents to make, sell it for $20 to all the Howard Stern fans, and make millions and millions of dollars. 10 days in the theater, it was pulled, never to be seen again in the theaters. It wasn't not necessarily a bomb in the theaters. That's really just not accurate. It wasn't in long enough. It was only in 4 cities. It wasn't in Miami, LA. That's why LA, when I got to LA, people were like, what movie? I don't know that movie. Nobody knows Beer League in LA. But you do if you go to Cleveland getting involved. And next thing you know, it just went into like shit world. And we ended up having right before that, though, we had our first premiere was in Vegas, which was cool. We were treated like royalty up in Vegas there. I think it was the Hard Rock. Me and Deej had our own room. We were partying. Artie, of course, was, he was struggling with the heroin thing. So we had to be like, we barely even saw him. I brought my whole family was there. My nephews were little. They came. I had all my buddies from Tommy, Bobby, Larry, all the gang. I still got a photo of it. I was like, you know what? I have a movie premiering in Vegas. Let's go and have a good time, And people laughed. It was cool. It was like, it felt good to be like a little bit of a high roller in Vegas for about 45 minutes, really. And then the movie came out in the city. And I remember Howard Stern sat right in front of me and my brother behind me. And afterwards, Howard turned to me. He goes, hey, man, shook my hand. You were really, really good in that movie. So I got like a nice plug from Howard Stern. I thought, maybe they'll have me on the show with Artie. Now, Jimmy Palumbo was never seen on the Howard Stern show. Thanks, Art. Appreciate that. But it was cool to have Howard see it. He laughed, and he was with his girlfriend at the time. And we only got one round of residuals. It's still in. I remember when I bought it on Blu-ray. How about that? I bought it on Blu-ray, and it was divided with another movie. How about that? Yeah, well, that's what they do. Then they pack. It was like Beer League and like fucking Snow Dogs with Cuba Gooding Jr. or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? I bought it because I wanted to see it. I saw it back then. Those of you scoring at home, they used to sell DVDs. At Best Buy, they had it for $5 with 5 movies, all in a packet. But they were all movies like Snow Dogs would have been like, that was like Titanic compared to what other movies are. Couple of funny things, though, about the movie. I did something that I always wanted to do. I know you're going to appreciate this. It's silly. It was a Jersey thing. We were playing on Friday nights that year. And I did something that as we're getting closer to shooting, by the way, when we shot the movie, it's funny how they use the fake softballs. Like when I get hit in the back, and dude, the softballs were like cotton balls. You can't get hurt. And I always tell people,
Jimmy, I know.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You got involved with that. But you didn't even see the really good ones.
Those are still little. Those are thick boys. I was like, you were hit. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got you. Well, we talked you into doing stupid shit. That's what we do. But we're going to get to that in a second.
God bless America.
But one of the things I did, which I think is really cool. Listen, my father started a softball team in Woodbridge in 1967, and we went all the way to 2019. Probably one of the longer running private softball teams, slow pitch softball. Really, I have 45 years, whatever the hell it was. And I was a manager for the last 30. And when I was younger, I was a pain in the ass hitter, just like Johnny Trino. Second baseman's had a bad day. You put the shitty guy at second base. I was like, there's a shitty guy at second base. He's not going to be able to handle me. And then the third time up, they're like, hey, watch this guy, opposite field. Third baseman would fall asleep, and I hit a rope down the third baseline. Anyway, but I did something that I think is so great. I woke up in the morning, drove to Rutherford, shot a movie about softball. The movie got out in time. We wrapped it like 4 o'clock, or Johnny Trino did. I got in my car, drove to Warren Park in Woodbridge,
with makeup
on, played in a softball game. So now I shot a movie about softball.
Listen to you, bro. You're Deion Sanders now, double dip.
It gets even better. 3 for 4 on the day we won the game.
All right.
We go to Riffy's. We have a couple of beers. Then I drive down to Manasquan to my shore house, and all my buddies are there. And then I'm at by 12:30, I was in Leggett's, and if someone said, "What did you do today?" Well, I shot a movie about softball. I was 3 for 4 in my softball game. I went to Riffy's, which I didn't mention that. And then here I am at Leggett's drinking beer on the Jersey Shore. To me, I was like, that's a triple crown right there. That's like a really perfect day from the Omni. It was a lot of fun. So what we did. It took us like 6 months and the last year, just so everybody knows what's going on. It took a pain in the ass. I had to get a lawyer involved. I had the rights to shoot Beer League, the series. Obviously, we couldn't get Ralph Macchio and Artie yet. None of them said no. They didn't say yes. They said, Jimmy, let's see what's going on. Artie's still making his comeback.
He's on the comeback. He's on the comeback trail.
And so I have the rights to do it, the Beer League 2 LLC, whatever you want to call it. And we put them on last year. We shot 5 episodes, about 2 or 3 minutes long, about 15 minutes. And then in October, with Dave Sturchio, yourself, Dave Destruction, we shot 3 more episodes. And what happened was, when we shot these episodes, we finally got out of the bar. We learned from some of our mistakes we did with the first 5. which people seem to enjoy it. I'm not saying it bombed, but it didn't go as viral as I wanted. And you weren't doing my social media, of course. And so we shot 3 more. And we got. I don't want to reveal. I really don't want to reveal a plot because I don't want to do that.
It's just deeper.
It's a little deeper. Right. And we realized that in order to, how can I word this? Oh, by the way, Artie Lang is invited back. I mean, like it's like if he shows up while we're doing a take, like Dave, step out of the camera. Artie's going to do the scene now. That quickly, and. We shot it, and all of a sudden, when we looked at the footage, our director, Tom Baldinger from 624 Productions, God bless, he was like, you know what, Jimmy? If we take these 3 and then take a little bit from episode 1 or 2, so basically we took the 3 we just shot, a little bit from the first 5, and now we have a full-blown pilot. It all blends together, and we're going to try to sell it to people now the legitimate way, with getting a Bible, which means you have a whole list of things that are going to happen in the series, where the characters go. We're going to have better character descriptions, what happens. And there's some cool things in it, I think, character-wise, that are very interesting, I think, and a good way to go. And we're going to try to grow it beyond Seymour Cassell, Artie Lang, Ralph Macchio. We don't have them, so I got to do the best I can. And I think we did a pretty good job. Of course, and this is a letter to Tom Baldinger right now. It's February, Tom, and we're supposed to have this pilot done.
Listen. He wants it perfect, and he wants it perfect, good. And I just, it better be like picked up by fucking Fox.
If I hear the announcer say Yankees are 5 games back here on a June perfect, I'm told that this thing will be done within the next 2 weeks. We're waiting on the score. So we're even gonna have a score on this one, which is cool. And
what's the score, Jimmy? What's the score to the common man at home?
Yeah. And so me and Dave, now we're not gonna put it on YouTube right away. You're not gonna see clips of it. There may be a trailer we'll do, maybe. So that's kind of a drag that even once it's done, Dave and I will see it. And then I really want to try to pitch it the right way. I want to go for it. And if we strike out, then we'll blast it all over the place. And then we're going to be doing a fundraiser to raise money to shoot another episode 1 through 5. Try to get some real money in there and try to shoot this and try to see if it's got Cobra Kai legs. And I think I can get Ralph to do a cameo if we get the right funding for all this crap. So that's where we're at. That's Beer League. I love doing it. People stop me on the street all the time. In Jersey anyway, like, oh my God, the guy from Beer League. It happens like my daughter gets a kick out of it. Of course, she's 15. She can't watch it yet. And it was just a great thing to do. I got relationships for life. Frank Sebastiano, he came to a couple stand-up shows I did in LA. Anthony Mastromaro, we were at a show last week, a comedy show. Just Seymour, of course, passed away, and a bunch of guys. Ralph Macchio, I have his cell phone. I'll text him. He'll text me back, and I don't bother him that much. It was just me and Deej, of course. Alphonse, who was great in it. By the way, Alphonse is totally in the series. By the way, I got to give a shout out to my boy,
meet your heroes. I know they say don't meet your heroes, meet your heroes. They're all really good guys. I had a ball.
You had a book.
That was the time of my
talk about that. It was fun to watch you. Now, when you were doing a couple of your takes, and again, it's tough to do this, but I really don't want to reveal anything. I know. I could tell, like Tom was, and I'm like, you know what? Because I didn't do this on the first 5. I was like, I got to talk to Dave. If I talk to him, I'm just going to talk to him. He'll know. I'm not saying I'm a director. But I was like, I think my note was, Dave, you got to you're an asshole here.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you're
not
on
a scale of like here and Maganelli's here. Just go here.
You got to go higher, right?
All right.
Yeah. So be more of a, more creepy, more of a dick, more of a sleaze, And sometimes you need a note like that. Or you could have
21-year-old Dave Sturchio.
But you could have gone the other way. You could have been playing it too higher. I was like, no, Dave, you're not Charles Manson.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I think you did a pretty good job. And you actually had a tough. You had a couple of tough things to do, I thought. And there is a scene that takes place where I couldn't watch you do it.
Nobody could, except for the person on the camera and the person involved outside of me. And I was just
because I knew if I was in the room watching you do that, you wouldn't be. I know if I gave you one look, you would have been able to keep a straight face.
I'm gonna joke about it now, though. It's funny. I can't wait to see it. I can and I can't because it's just like I see it, can't show the one.
First of all, you lost like 8 pounds of doing the shooting of that because you were sweating the stuff you had to do. Then you actually had to do manual stuff. You had the worst.
No, first of all, no stunt double, no insurance, none of that shit. I'm getting involved. Listen. Former pro wrestler Dave Destruction knew how to do certain things, so I'll leave it at that. I wasn't awful. I did my own stunts. How about that?
I will say that the one day we shot, it was about 9 degrees with a 70-mile-an-hour wind. Everybody had windbreakers on. Remember how cold it was?
Yeah, here I come with cut off sleeves.
Cut off sleeves. Oh my God, it was so great. But we have some cool shots in it, so that's what we're doing. All right, well, that's about it here at Shea. I think I talked about everything Beer League.
Yeah.
Go check out Game Day though. Let's try to get that up on your.
Is that allowed?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Right? I think.
You tell me. Who owns the rights? I can rip it right off of YouTube and put it on ours, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Try it. We'll see.
Right.
I don't know. I know I own the right. I guess I do. I don't even know.
You might want to figure that out.
I gotta get involved here. But listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I know I'm Montreal here. Just quick trip came out of nowhere. I'm skiing a couple days and I'll be home and we'll go from there. But that's it. I got nothing else to say. Oh, I guess I do got something else to say here from the Omni. What else did I forget? Don't forget our sponsors.
Pine Tar Bar and Grill.
We got cornholelevel.com. Go check out 20% off JP Show, cornholelevel.com. Absolute Eyewear, 42 Main Street in Woodbridge, 732-326-3937. Go check them out down by the train station in Woodbridge. Good people, Craig and Johnny. And one of the characters was based on Craig, who struck out the most ever in history of softball. He hates when I say that, but I tell his kids. Then we got, of course, chasingmiracles.com. They're always a fan favorite here. Go get your patches. And Pine Tar Bar and Grill in Fork and River, 609-489-4286. Getting involved. Best sports bar in America, according to me. And, of course, Lisa Ruane, certified therapist, 201-725-1251. If you're in a jam, you're not feeling right, give her a call. She'll walk you through it. And that's about it from the Omni. And I will see you guys next week. Dave, you got anything?
Back in the States next week, Jimmy.
Yes, back in the States. Of course, there's migration issues here in Canada. You didn't want me to go there, did
Jimmy,
you?
Get the fuck out of there.
Migrate means, listen, the migration stuff is too funny. I know I'm the most non-political guy. All I know is it's 9 degrees here, and everybody's walking around in like T-shirts. They're like, it's not that bad. I'm like, not that bad. What are you nuts?
We're in the plus side.
And everybody, another thing, I feel like when you hang out in Montreal, I'm on my second day. I'm acting like I'm like a fan favorite here. Yeah. I feel like going, hey guys, enough with the French now. You guys, you're like you're like an hour away from ski areas in Vermont. Like I was a nice thing in the 50s and 60s, but like everybody, and then you find out everybody speaks English anyway. So it's like,
of course.
I know it's like a Louisiana
Purchase territory. ESL is what we call it. ESL, France. English as a second language.
Yeah, it's like all these things like, Bermuda's, England, like stop. Everybody enough already. It's just like everybody's speaking English here. It's ridiculous.
Breaking news. Everybody speaks English. Jimmy Palumbo.
That'll do. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, of course, I'm only joking. It's actually cool. I enjoyed France when I was there shooting the family, and I'm certainly enjoying my time here. All right, kids, that'll do it here from downtown Montreal, Canada, here in Quebec province. Provinces are getting involved. You hate to see that. All right, man. I'll talk to you.